Okay, so imagine this. You're hiding behind a rock. There's something massive in the fog. The ground is literally shaking. You've got a stick. A stick! And whatever's out there, it's got teeth the size of your arm. Your family's sleeping in the cave behind you. And here's the fun part. If you mess this up, humanity ends. Right here, right now. No pressure. Welcome to being a prehistoric human, where every single day was basically a horror movie except you can't leave the theater and the monster is definitely not CGI. So, let's get one thing straight. Prehistoric Earth was not the fun dinosaur playground we see in kids' movies. This place wanted you dead, like actively, enthusiastically wanted you deleted from existence. Modern humans stress about traffic, bills, and whether that text message sounds passive-aggressive. Our ancestors? They worried about whether that bush was hiding a tiger with swords for teeth. And spoiler alert, it usually was. The landscape was bananas. Volcanoes erupting randomly like Earth was having a tantrum, ice ages rolling in and out, and everywhere, something was trying to eat you. You weren't the apex predator. You were basically a walking Happy Meal. And here's the crazy part. We survived anyway. Not because we were strong, we were pathetically weak compared to everything else. Not because we were fast, a house cat could outrun us. We survived because we were stubborn, sneaky, and really good at teamwork. Think about it. Lions are stronger. Cheetahs are faster. Eagles have better vision, but none of them built spaceships. We did. And it all started with a bunch of terrified, half-starved humans who just refused to die. Okay, hunting scene. Picture this. 20 guys, haven't eaten in 3 days, tracking some big prehistoric cow thing through the forest. Kids back home are crying from hunger. This isn't sport. This is literally life or death. Then it shows up. Tyrannosaurus Rex. 20 feet of "I'm gonna ruin your entire bloodline." Its roar is so loud and deep that it vibrates your organs. People are scattering like bowling pins. Absolute chaos. But here's where it gets wild. One guy doesn't. Some nameless hero whose name we'll never know plants a spear and charges at a T-Rex with a stick. Now you might be thinking, that's stupid, and you'd be right. Except here's the thing. He bought time. The tribe escaped. He died, obviously. This isn't a Marvel movie where the hero survives impossible odds. He got absolutely demolished. But his kids lived. His tribe lived. And that's the whole story of human survival right there. We won through sacrifice, not strength. We won because some people were brave enough or desperate enough to be the distraction while others escaped. Also, fun fact, T-Rex had the strongest bite force of any land animal ever, about 12,800 pounds per square inch. That's enough to crush a car. Our hero fought that with a pointy stick. Respect. Death wasn't just on the ground, by the way. It was everywhere, including from above, courtesy of the Titanus, also known as the terror bird, which is the most accurate name for an animal ever. 8 feet tall, 350 pounds of rage and feathers, a beak that could punch through your skull like it was cardboard. And here's the nightmare fuel. It couldn't fly, but it could run at 30 miles per hour. Imagine you're gathering berries by a river. Peaceful morning, birds chirping. Then this thing comes sprinting out of the bushes like a velociraptor had a baby with an ostrich and raised it on pure violence. One woman got attacked. The bird's beak came down like a pickaxe. She rolled, screamed, and her entire tribe just erupted from the trees, throwing rocks, stabbing with sticks, making noise, creating absolute chaos. The bird killed one more person before retreating, not because it lost, because it got confused. Prey wasn't supposed to fight back in groups. That woman survived, but she had scars for life, and the tribe learned rule number 1, never be alone. Safety in numbers isn't a suggestion, it's the only reason you exist. Also, terror birds went extinct, but cassowaries still exist, and they're basically smaller terror birds with an attitude problem. Australia, man. Always Australia. Here's a question. What's scarier than a crocodile? Answer: a 40-foot prehistoric crocodile called Deinosuchus, which literally means terrible crocodile. Scientists looked at this thing and said, yep, terrible covers it. Every river, every lake, every water source was a potential death trap. You needed water to survive, but getting water might end your entire existence. Picture this. Young dad, early morning, wades into the river with a water skin. He's thirsty. His family's thirsty. He's just trying to grab some water. Boom! The water explodes. 40 feet of prehistoric nightmare clamps onto his leg. He's being dragged under, spinning in the death roll, which, by the way, is exactly as horrible as it sounds. His brother dives in, not to fight the crocodile, that's suicide, but to stab at its eyes with a flint blade. The croc lets go, blood everywhere, and they drag him out. His leg is mangled, he'll never walk right again, but he survives. And more importantly, he teaches his kids, respect the water's edge. Here's the thing about prehistoric life. Every survival lesson was bought with trauma. There were no practice runs, no YouTube tutorials on how to survive a Deinosuchus attack. You learned by watching people die, and if you were lucky, you weren't the example. Fun speculation. Modern humans are still instinctively afraid of deep, murky water. That's probably because our ancestors who weren't afraid got eaten. Natural selection in action. Smilodon, the saber-toothed cat. You know them from Ice Age, where they're cute and talk with a lisp. Real ones? Not cute. Not cute at all. They hunted in packs, just like we did. They had 7-inch fangs, basically natural daggers attached to their face. And they were smart. Coordinated attacks, ambush tactics. They were us, but with better weapons. Hunting party comes back to camp at sunset. Everything is wrong immediately. 3 Smilodons circling the fire, separating elders from children. This is a planned attack, surgical. The hunters charge screaming, forming a wall between the predators and their families, spears flying everywhere. One cat goes down, another backs off. The third lunges, grabs an elderly woman, and the hunters finally drive it off. That night, they're tending wounds, mourning their dead, and someone has a realization. The predators hunt in packs, so we have to defend in packs. Cooperation wasn't about being nice, it was math. 1 human versus a saber-tooth, you lose. 10 humans with weapons and coordination, the saber-tooth finds easier prey. Also, saber-teeth went extinct about 10,000 years ago. We're still here. Scoreboard. Speculation time. What if they hadn't gone extinct? Would we have domesticated them like dogs, or would we still be fighting them? Honestly, given human stubbornness, probably both. Someone would have a saber-tooth as a pet. Guaranteed.
Giant ground predators? Check. Giant water predators? Check. But wait, there's more. Giant sky predators. Meet the Argentavis, 20-foot wingspan. Think of a condor, but on steroids with anger management issues. It mostly ate carrion, but sometimes it got hungry and decided to try the 2-legged snack options. Kid wanders from camp chasing a lizard. Suddenly, shadow. Massive shadow, like someone turned off the sun. She looks up, sees death descending with talons extended. Mom runs faster than any human should physically be able to run, reaches the kid just as the talons come down, throws herself over the small body. The bird's claws rake across her back, trying to lift its prey. But the mom's too heavy. She's fighting, screaming, and the whole tribe rushes in, throwing rocks, stabbing upward with spears, until the bird gives up and flies off, screeching in frustration. Both survive, and the tribe learns, watch the sky. Always watch the sky. Here's the crazy part. Birds today are descendants of dinosaurs. So technically, we've been fighting dinosaurs this whole time. That pigeon pooping on your car? Its great times a million grandfather might have tried to eat your ancestor. Then came fire, and suddenly the game completely changed. We don't know who discovered it first. Maybe someone saw lightning strike. Maybe someone accidentally dropped meat in a wildfire and realized, hey, This tastes better and doesn't make me sick. But once we figured out fire, we went from prey to problem. Fire meant cooked food. Cooked food meant more calories absorbed. More calories meant bigger brains. Bigger brains meant better tools. Better tools meant better survival. But here's the real superpower of fire. Every predator was terrified of it. Every single one. That saber-tooth that was stalking your cave? Not anymore. That terror bird eyeing your camp? Nope. Fire created an invisible force field that said, humans live here, stay back. Caves went from hiding spots to fortresses. Campsites became strongholds. The night, our biggest enemy for millions of years, became just another time of day. Plus, fire meant light. Light meant you could see attacks coming, see what you were eating, work on tools after sunset, socialize, tell stories. Actually, let's pause on that. Fire probably invented storytelling. People sitting around the flames, recounting the day's hunt, warning about dangers, sharing information. That's the beginning of culture, of education, of history. All because someone figured out hot stick good. Speculation. The first person to discover fire probably got worshipped like a god. Kevin made the warm light that scares the monsters. Kevin's having a great week. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Alone, you're useless. Sorry, but it's true. One human versus literally any major predator, you die. Maybe you get lucky once or twice, but eventually the math catches up. You're slower, weaker, and your teeth are basically decorative. But 10 humans, different story. 20 humans with spears and fire, now we're talking. 50 humans with coordinated tactics, the predator finds easier prey. This is why tribalism is hardwired into our DNA. We survived because we teamed up. We shared food even when starving. We cared for injured people even when they slowed us down. We mourned the dead and remembered their lessons. Not because we're naturally good and noble. Let's be honest, humans can be pretty terrible to each other. But because tribes that cooperated survived. Tribes that didn't, gone, deleted from the gene pool. Your ancestors weren't necessarily the smartest or strongest. They were the ones who worked together. The ones who said, your problem is my problem, because they understood, if you die, maybe I die next. That anxiety you feel about being excluded from groups, that's evolution screaming, don't be alone. Being alone is how you get eaten. Modern application? This is why we're so obsessed with social media, group chats, and feeling included. We're not designed to be alone. 10,000 years of evolution says, be part of the group or perish. So we're weaker than predators, slower than predators. Our teeth are pathetic. We can't fly, we can't breathe underwater, and our claws are basically fancy fingernails. But we had one advantage. We could make stuff. First spear? Just a stick with a sharp end, but it gave us range. We could wound something without entering its killing radius. That's huge. First axe? Rock tied to wood with plant fiber, but it could break bone, cut meat, build shelter, and double as a weapon. First trap? Just a pit covered with branches, but it turned our biggest weakness, inability to win direct combat, into strength. We didn't need to be stronger, we needed to be smarter. Each tool was purchased with blood. Someone died testing it, someone died perfecting it, but once we figured it out, we taught everyone. And here's where humans get scary from a predator's perspective. We don't just learn, we iterate, we improve, we pass knowledge down. That saber-tooth that killed your cousin last year, you studied how it attacked, you made a better spear, dug a deeper pit, coordinated with more hunters. Next time, it loses. Tools were force multipliers. One human with a spear is still weak, but 50 humans with spears, fire, and a plan? Now we're talking. Speculation. The first weapon maker was probably like the Elon Musk of prehistory. I call it the pointy stick. It's revolutionary. Everyone's mind is blown. So here's the thing. Every human alive today is a walking miracle. You're descended from the survivors, the ones who fought when fighting was insane, The ones who ran when running was smart. The ones who adapted, cooperated, and just absolutely refused to go extinct. Those prehistoric humans weren't heroes in the Marvel sense. They didn't have superpowers or plot armor. They watched their friends die, their children die. They lived with constant fear, constant hunger, constant threat. But they had one superpower: stubbornness, absolute, unshakable refusal to disappear. That anxiety you feel in dark parking lots, that's your ancestors' fear, echoing across 10,000 generations. They were right to be afraid. The dark did hold monsters, but they survived anyway. The T-Rex, extinct. Terror birds, extinct. Deinosuchus, extinct. Smilodon, extinct. Argentavis, extinct. Humans, still here. Not just surviving, thriving. We went from prey to the dominant species on the planet. We built cities, invented the internet, and put robots on Mars. All because some terrified, half-starved humans hiding in caves said not today to extinction. They fought a war against the entire planet trying to kill them, and they won. So next time you're stressed about your job, your relationships, or whether you left the stove on, remember, your ancestors fought dinosaurs with sticks. You've got this. The survival instinct that got them through literal nightmare creatures, that's in your DNA. Use it.
We made it,
Also,
kid.
if time travel
The
gets
future
invented,
is yours
maybe
now.
don't visit prehistoric Earth. It was objectively terrible, like 0 stars
We made
on
it,
Yelp.
kid.
Great scenery,
The future
everything
is
tried to kill
yours
me,
now.
would not recommend. But hey, it made us who we are.